The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Good afternoon, traders. Oh, happy Wednesday. Welcome to Hump Day. Welcome to the middle of the week. Our markets just couldn't hang on. We'll talk about it. Starting to see some momentum and then we have those same headwinds and concerns that slowing things down. We'll see what it leads to. Good afternoon, Fred. Good to see you. Howdy, Bob. Wonderful Wednesday to you, Dennis. Hello, LK. Good afternoon, Phil. Thank you as always. There will be no trading on Friday. That is true. Thank you for the reminder, LK. No trading on Good Friday. Markets closed in pre-celebration or observation of the Easter holiday. Welcome out, everybody, to the Tradespoon Live Trading Room, Stocks and Options. I am Scott, head trading coach. I'll be your host. I've been trading for a while and teaching for a while. These are the disclosures. Trading can be risky. Options, especially. We're not advisors. This is for education purposes only. We may and do actively participate in the trades that we look at and develop. Have a plan, manage your risk, manage your psychology. That's my advice. Manage your risk, manage your psychology. Here's the market. Stocks wobble. You can see based on this guy's pensive picture. He's thinking, he's concerned. There's some wobbles. His face says everything you need to know. S&P was down much worse. At one point, it recovered a good amount, down 0.34. The Dow up 0.25%. The weakness is in our growth markets, so that's a bit concerning. But the Nasdaq's down 1.25. The Russell down 1.25. Stocks are trying to cancel the recession. Wall Street isn't sure. That's a very clever headline. I don't exactly know what it means. Western Alliance stock sinks after updates to, and is that Western Boot Alliance? Is that Walgreens? What's the symbol for that now? It used to be WAG, right? But now is it WBA? Walgreens Boot Alliance. No, that's something else. Clearly. Speaking of, though, look at Walgreens. That's a nice chart. Nice little breakout, new highs, maybe on the consolidation. Gold nears all-time highs as investors pile into boomer rocks. I don't know what that means. AI stock hype needs to be pared back, investor argues. Really not a lot of news, just a lot of like conjecture and speculation and opinions. This girl, did you guys hear about this? She had a startup that was supposed to help people with financial advice around student loans. And she had like 300,000 people, and she convinced them that she had like 14 million people. And now she's looking at a huge prison sentence. Well, Morgan Stanley analysts are forecasting something worse than in the great financial crisis for commercial real estate. Interesting. Okay. What else? Apple's laying off some people. More tech layoffs. GM. All right. I don't see much news. Was there something I'm missing that I didn't see? Here's the economic calendar so far this week. What have we had? Manufacturing came back basically as expected. Here, manufacturing was down a little bit. Construction spending down just a tick. So there was nothing really there that impacted the market. Job openings, that's a pretty big drop there. Factory orders were down, but just barely more than expected, and actually less than were down the prior month. So nothing really that bad there. But the job openings, we've talked about bracing ourselves for the possibility of when the labor market becomes more involved in the current economic climate. You can see here job openings went from, we were like 11, 12 million, 11, 12, then 10 and a half. And then that dropped by about 600,000. That's, there's still 9.9 million, which is still, let me see here. Unemployment is at 3.6%. 160 million people. Where's my calculator? I need a calculator. Okay. We'll say 160 million in the workforce. We'll say 3.5% unemployment. So not quite, right? We've dropped from that 2 jobs for every worker. It's still pretty good though, right? 9.9 divided by 5.6, 1.75 jobs for every worker. But that's down. So it's like, okay, let's keep our eye on it. Then we look at today, ADP employment, and they were expecting 260. Remember last month we got a nice positive surprise, and this time we dropped to 145. 145 is about sustainable. It's a sustainable amount, right? That sustains. We're not going to see the unemployment rise, but we won't see. I mean, that's a number that just sort of, stays. If we're getting 300,000, we're growing the labor market. If we're getting less than 150, then we're seeing it shrink, and we're going to see unemployment rise. And so, the two things that we watch, and I would definitely say that I watch non-farm payrolls. The Department of Labor report, it's going to come out on Friday. I watch that much more closely than I watch the ADP. It's always first Wednesday, first Friday of the month. We haven't a slowdown again. Same kind of a thing where it's like, we'll see what the government says. We're expecting 238. Weird though, right? Because they are gonna announce. It does look like they're announcing those reports. I mean, they can't kick it, right? Because it's Good Friday. If they kicked it, we wouldn't get that report until Friday, the middle of the month. So that's an interesting one. So we'll see. Job reports, that's what's on the docket for the rest of this week. Stella still says bullish. Obviously, today's market, a little bit more concerned. Stella's bullish there on SPY. Same on the QQQ, although there is just a hint of a consolidation here developing. You can see this little consolidation here, which if it's a little more sustained, we get an extra day, maybe 2. Still a higher low. And still likely to have this upside tail whip as long as this pullback is not too pronounced. If it's the larger this pullback, the less likely the rest of this happens. Everything still seems fine here, so it's not panicky. Let's go IWM. Very strong here. We were waiting and waiting for the IWM to participate, to have representation. It has it, but today it's running into something. DIA. I mean, that's beautiful looking right there, but what does it say? It says, again, consolidation, higher low, bullish kick. I mean, that's what we're hoping to see on all of these. If this is a consolidation, it consolidates like this and then turns into a bullish kick. I'm still looking for that, but it certainly put a wet blanket on our trades. Let's keep going. What do we have here? We know that in the first bit of April, there tends to be a bit of a consolidation. From the 4th to the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, a little bit down, a little bit sideways, right in the range where we are now, which, again, not surprising. We just had some bullishness here. So if it has a bit of a consolidation, then one more kick upwards, possibly up into this range here. That's what we tend to see, right? That's what we're looking for. Okay. So just because we have a bearish day doesn't mean like, oh, that's it, it's over. you do have to manage the trades that you're in. That's for sure. Today's heat map. What does it tell us? What does it tell us? Not great in the semiconductors. I let's take a look at the one we had on. I shut mine down. We don't speak. We just sort of have to rely on our plan that we develop. But you can see this thing started to deviate. On Monday, everything was still okay. And I'm like, all right, okay. On Tuesday, when it deviated, it's like, yeah, that's the end, right? It's you can see it's not going to keep pace with that. It pinched here, it turned over, and if you shut it down early when it first showed the signs of failure, then you saved yourself something. If you're still in it, I'd be very careful. This thing has rolled over. This is now moving into the selling cycle, and it looks a bit nasty. I don't want to sit through those things. So out of the NVIDIA trade, squeaked a bit of a gain out on that one, even still. And then the other trade was Amazon. Amazon was more in the retail sector. That one looked great even yesterday. I'm like, okay. And then today, when things started falling apart and it broke below yesterday's low, that was enough for me. I'm glad. But I don't like the way this looks. You can see the same thing is happening here. If we were looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. We got 5. On day 6, it's diverging from its path. It's taking out the lows. It's pinching on its stochastics. All of that points to saying, okay, we're out of here. We would have, first thing this morning, you've been like, as it starts to go, there's not much there. Now, if you don't have the ability to watch it, but now you're seeing it, now's when you got to say, all right, what am I going to do with this thing? I've got to make a decision with it now. Okay, so those are the 2 trades that we had put on. Both of which made some money. So, didn't work. Didn't get us 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 like we wanted to, but it, certainly did its job anyways, right? Now you can see the market has made a new high. This was great. Now it's pulling back. You can see we've crossed. We're entering the selling cycle again. And Jacques says, do you consider Monday as a higher low? Do we buy puts? Should we have puts? No, that was not. That was a same low for me. In fact, it was a lower low than this low, right? This one, you're going back to here, and it's kind of that same for me. So that wasn't for me. However, Jacques, mon ami, I would say that if I drew this consolidation, something along this lines is most representative, right? And you might draw yours a little differently than mine, but basically this says that if we come up tomorrow and then we stabilize and then we come down off of it, that's a lower high, and that one I would buy calls and say that opens the door for some more bullishness. If it breaks that consolidation, and again, you can see you could draw it a little bit more strictly. You could cut the tails. If we break out of that, then I would probably do a half. The breakout of the consolidation is not as strong to me as the higher low. But if it breaks out and then it pulls back, then I would go from a half to 1.5. I'd put another full position on there because at that point, I'm concerned about the escalation again. But great question. The distinction here is that this really was the same low. It wasn't for me. I mean, technicality, it got down to 1816, and here we got down to 1852. But the bodies are really more what I'm looking at. So, contest. I have an unlimited supply of gold medals, Bob. Unlimited supply. Okay. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Last time I made it hard for the Bs. I'm going to make it a little easier this time. I'm going to give you this range here off of these highs, which became these lows. A, we got to finish at new highs. No, not new highs. Back to the old highs for the day. B, we're in this range. C, A, B, C. A, B, C. Dennis is feeling bullish today. He says it's an A. Fred is feeling like the day is mostly completed itself, and he is a B. What else? What else? Fred is a B. Brad is a B. Bob is a C. Jacques is an A. Okay, is a B. Anybody else? LK is a B. Anybody else? Carmen is an A. Anybody else? Martin is a B. Thank you, Martin. Yeah, Bob's the only C as of now. All right. And Scott is a B. I'm joining the Bs. I think it's going to pop up. It might get into the A area right around in here. And then it's going to just kind of flounder back into the middle. 407 and a quarter. That's my thought. What are the numbers here? 407 by 407 and a half. Boy, that's pretty tight, actually. We're going to be generous to the Bs. We weren't. Yeah, maybe 407. Maybe 406.90 by 407.60. How about that? 70-cent range. Phil is a C. Oh, Bob, Phil joined you. Every gold medal given will have a friend, at least one. Great. Okay, let's go finish back with did we finish the heat map? So what's strong today? Utilities is very strong today. Very strong today. Consumer defensive is pretty strong. Healthcare is strong. Those are defensive components of the market. Communication services, red. A little bit of green in telecom, but mostly red. Technology goes from dark red to bright red, which is bad to worse, from software to semiconductors. Financials is interesting. There's some green in there. So if our growth segments are consolidating and financials can work their way into participation, that could be very interesting. So there you go. All right. So we did our quiz. We looked at the trades that we're on. Let's do a quick sector rotation and then we'll get to the watch list and just kind of make sure we're all on the same page. I feel like it's been so long again. right? Between conversations. We get every day for a minute or two and we get spoiled. I get spoiled by it. I'm like, yeah. It's April 5th and it's like snowing again. Again. We've broken every record for snow out here in Utah this year, like 70-year-old records. Crazy. Who's leading? Who's lagging? What do we know? Over the 9-month perspective, technology breaking heat records in Orlando. Interesting. Industrials, energy is coming back into play. We talked about the possibility of that happening and that we want to be on the lookout for it. And we do see that, right? We said energy may not be done. Let's keep an eye on it. So industrials and technology, the top with energy. Everybody else is sort of in the middle with financials and utilities lagging. What an interesting mix, right? What an interesting mix. We still just haven't seen it find the breadth that we're hoping for. As we look at 6 months, we have some additionals join the party. Communication services, materials, then industrials, technology, and of course, again, energy. The lagging modules, consumer discretionary, and utilities. Healthcare is on the move. Someone brought it up the other day. We talked about United Health. We said who's gonna join, and it does seem like healthcare. Let's go down to 66 days. On 66 days, we still have tech and communication services well above everybody else. Discretionary, not far behind. So this one is the best argument for growth. Then down here at the bottom, we have financials, not really helping, obviously caught up in the news. And then we have some healthcare and utilities, staples, and of course, energy. And we go down to 22 days, just the last month. What do we see? Oh, you know what? Was this all the way? Give me 1 second. Let me go back through this for a second. Yeah, that's still right, but you can see the consolidation in technology, 66. Com, tech, discretionary. Okay. Jump down to 22. Technology, communication services. All of a sudden, a little defensive sector pokes its head up and says hello, staples. And we know utilities is strong today. So, well, we'll see what this leads to. I mean, it's not enough for me to be like, look how the sectors are rotating, the money's flowing out and flowing in. It's still generally what we've been seeing, but there's enough there that we want to pay attention to it and go from there. Vlad crushed it with the UNH trade. Nice. We added that to our watch list not long ago. Never came across what was that? 331 Friday. Did we talk about it on Friday? I mean, that's a nice trade for sure. Just barely getting going. But what did we have? Remember what we looked for. We had a consolidation kind of through here. It broke up above it, got up into this area. Buyers did enough to say hello. Hello, buyers. Then the sellers come into play. They push it down. 1, 2, 3. Not a lot of volume on the selling days. Clearly, it was a selling cycle. And then what? And then it turns right there. All of this lines up and gets you in on Friday. You'd still be in the trade today. Plenty of time before earnings. That's it right there. That is it. Good stuff. Well done for Vlad. Love it. Communication Services ETF, XLC, Bob said. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's overextended now, like the other ones that we've been looking at. So it's a little up over top of this looks very similar to trades we just exited. But it's higher high. It's kind of a cup formation, a little pullback, and we're ready to go. So same thing. Took a stab. Hopefully you booked some small gains, if nothing else. And now what? Now we're ready for the next set of trades. It's just over and over. Shampoo, rinse, repeat. Shampoo, rinse, repeat. All right. Thanks for the ETF, Bob. Appreciate it. To the watch list. To the watch list, Batman. Alcoa. Oof. Right? It tried. And then it just sort of like petered out. Now it's back here. It's not looking good. Not for materials. Apple, great trade. Apple was a great trade. Hopefully, if you were in Apple, you took a little bit of profit yesterday, if not all of it. Anything you didn't take, hopefully you took early today, didn't wait long. This was not one that we took together, but one that I took and one that we've been talking about. And I'm ready again. I'd love to see it pull back here to 159, 160, and then catch it for another turn. I'm all set. Adobe, we didn't. We thought it looked a little overextended this whole time, and it has. And now we're just sort of watching to see if it does, give us some sort of a consolidation and go from there. ADI kind of worked its way back into the conversation. We'd been looking at NVIDIA and AMD, but this for me looks like it has kind of found its way back to some extent. As long as it stays above 85-ish. Archer Daniels, all of a sudden the consumer staples coming back into play. It's in the selling cycle. If it pulls back, stabilizes, this would be one I would consider. Here's Amazon. No, here's AMD. This doesn't look all of a sudden. This one tried to give a signal. We ended up going with NVIDIA. We liked NVIDIA better. This just failed. We gave AMD a chance, but at this point, it already failed. It's already taken out this low. ADI looks better. I'll keep it, but I'm not really interested at this point. Amazon did get to a new high, but it's just sort of falling apart now. Okay, let's watch it. Maybe it's the next one that gives us another big move. I made a little on it. I'm going to try again. Right? I'm going to try again. Bob says, take a look at VZ, Telecom, Communication Services. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's put it on the watch list. I agree 100%. 100%. That's the kind of thing that we're looking for. It's showing strength. We just need to wait for the consolidation. Buying it on the pullback. AXP, still nothing here yet. Boeing. So industrials, we said it looks like industrials is trying to work its way back into favor. There's our consolidation. Clearly it broke out of it. New high relative to these highs. Now what? Now we're waiting for this thing to consolidate. Anywhere at or above 200 really is fine with me. That's 5% pullback, but that would be absolutely the type of trade I'd be looking to make. Okay. Baba, if you like Chinese stocks, it's setting up. It broke out, new high. Sellers have the floor. They're not doing much with it. If it doesn't get into this gap, I definitely think that there's something there. When I have traded Chinese stocks, Alibaba is definitely one that I would trade. It's an interesting one. So I don't know. Maybe it convinces me. Maybe it convinces one of you when we talk about it, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. We're open to the possibilities. Caterpillar. Ooh. Caterpillar does not look as good as Boeing. We'll see about John Deere, but as of right now, I would say Caterpillar is the front runner from the industrials as far as the setup goes. ConocoPhillips, oil's broken out, but it's a little overextended. We would need a pullback. Costco, it's just kind of meandering around, quite honestly. There's just nothing there yet. We'll see. DBC, a little bit of a breakout. Oh, goodness gracious. Look at John Deere today. I mean, yesterday was kind of nasty, but then today it's like, ooh. What is that? 7%? 6% down? 10% over 2 days? I don't love it. I don't love it for the group because Boeing still looks good, but with Deere and Caterpillar getting beat up, makes us wonder about the viability of industrials as a sector, right? You might have to be careful with what we do with that. Diamonds. What did I just do? Diamonds. CMI, Cummins International, even worse. Stop for a second. Ooh, yeah. A lot of the industrials. Here's XLI. I'd be a little leery. It's not as bad over the group, but I would say that's concerning. You know, I would definitely say that's concerning. Okay. Where was I? Disney. Trying to get it back, trying to get the trend back. It's at a higher high. Wait for the higher low. That's a possibility. FCX is a good representation of basic materials. That's a possibility. FedEx. I shut mine down yesterday. It's up today, but you can see it was earlier today. I'm like, oh, what have I done? And then now I'm like, well, okay, I think I'm all right. And I'm going to wait for the next possibility. But took this one back in this area here, got a little ride, hiccup. Now it's just kind of like, well, no need to look back and second guess or whatever else. FXI, same thing. Looks reasonable for a setup. GLD looks like they said at new highs. It doesn't look like a buy opportunity to me. Google, someone talked about Google. We put it on the list. I mean, that's technically a signal there. It just was a big one. It was big. And then it's moved a little bit. It really hasn't moved much of anywhere. That signal was confirmed to 103.75. We're at 104.32. It looks like it's hitting some resistance, so I'm not sure about that. I don't know why I have ATR down here. And I think I can. Yeah, that's better. How about GDX for gold miners or the junior miners, GDXJ? Same thing. There's momentum, but it's overextended. Momentum, but overextended. Hard to buy into it late in the game like that. Goldman. Okay, so Goldman is trying to show financials the way out, I think. I mean, it's depending on how you draw your consolidation, even if you kind of came down like that, right? It's clearly broken it. It's clearly at a new high. Selling cycles coming in. Earnings are not too far away, but if it can turn in the next couple of days, there's enough time that I'd try to slap a trade on in there prior to earnings. The implied volatility is not low. However, I would likely buy, if I ever trade like the week before earnings, I buy options. Why? Because I know I'm going to I know I am going to close before earnings. I'm not going to ride that trade through earnings. And in that next week, 9 out of 10 times the implied volatility will rise in anticipation of earnings. So I'm going to benefit from that. Question came in. If Verizon is at the top of the Bollinger and at 70, is it a buy? Stella says it's going up more. Yeah, I have to have more than just Stella for me. I mean, I like to have confluence amongst my indicators. We'll look at Verizon again, but anything that's overextended, there's going to be some where Stella's like, yep, it's going to keep going. But if my oscillators are rolling over, my candlesticks are slowing down, I'm going to be looking for a short-term pullback, and I'm going to be patient, waiting for that. IWM. It's down 1%, but overall, I would say this looks okay. In the bigger picture, in the broader scheme of things, that's the consolidation. It broke it, new high, higher low. Okay. You know how I feel about a higher low. You know how I feel. Jets looks okay. MasterCard doing a little better. Meta still looks strong. Bullish. Marvell. Microsoft looks great. I still want to trade Microsoft. Microsoft on a higher low? Hell yes. Same with Apple. Just because the Nasdaq's down today, it's not like, oh, that's it. We're not getting our rally. This could be exactly in line with the rally. Don't close your mind to it. Be open. Be water, my friends. Netflix. Netflix looks like it's setting up. It's an expensive one, but it's setting up, and there's time before earnings. I'm feeling fine with all of this, quite honestly. I still like NVIDIA. Even if NVIDIA took out this, when something's on a run like this, like you can see back here, if it takes out one low, but then it gets back in track, I'm okay with that. So Oracle looks phenomenal, just needs a consolidation. Q's looks great, new highs, pulling back. There's no problems here. I think we have a new set of trades setting up, and that we might be able to look at taking them later this week. Starbucks. Starbucks is back in line where it should be. We broke the consolidation, higher high, waiting for this pullback. We'll catch it at 100. I feel it. I feel it coming in the air tonight. Silver, super high, but it's overextended. Semiconductors still looks fine. Still looks in line. The trend looks fine. Everything about it looks fine. We don't need to be overwhelmed by this. SPY, same thing. Same thing. Tesla, I'm getting ready to kick it off the island. Natural gas hasn't done enough yet. It's hard to see natural gas without zooming in, get a little more clarity. It's got to break more. It's got to get up here to like 7.5, maybe even a little higher, and then pull back and hold above 7. Where are we? Safe Haven surging. XLU, XLP, not good. Yeah, I'm with you, but it's to be expected that we see a little bit of money flow in, right? It's to be expected to see a little bit of money flowing into those defensive areas. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. We're going to be fine. Visa, like MasterCard, like Goldman, we're seeing some bright spots coming out of financials that's starting to be like, well, maybe this thing is. I told you, I said I think this whole financial crisis is overblown. I think it exposed some institutions who did not learn their lesson, and they should absolutely be punished for it. It sucks when shareholders get swept up into it, but look, man, it's very isolated. So those that are swept up in that, I'm sorry. You know, sometimes you eat the bear and sometimes the bear eats you. Fred says Stella likes SMH. I still like SMH. USO is doing better. We'll take a look at that. So yeah, Visa looks okay. Here's the VIX. I mean, this is a bearish day and the VIX is hardly moving. If this thing pops up a little bit, doesn't get above, let's say like 21, I think the lower high is what's forming there. Verizon. So here's the thing. Verizon's very extended for me. If you like breakouts, the problem is this. Like right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days. 10 out of 11 days it went up there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 10 out of 11 is our best, and we're at 9 out of 10. It's not as steep as that, but at this point, I would think, you know what? I want the higher low. Now, I will show you if you had been watching this one. Consolidation. Breakout, new high. Pullback, turn. And again, you can't be thinking that your stochastic is going to be down here all the time. It might come down there. It might not. Like, look at that one. But that's the higher low. That would have been the go-ahead for this trade. If you had this on your watch list and you said, Scott, I'm pulling the trigger, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. I agree. I see it. I see what you're looking at. That makes you feel like see what I said? It makes you feel like, I feel like the sellers have lost control and the buyers are now. Why do you feel that? Because I saw it happen, right? Right? I mean, you don't know for sure, so it is still a feeling. It's still a speculation, which is a fancy word for a guess. But you're making that assumption based off of something you saw, an empirical technical pattern that represents a change in demand and supply pressures that essentially is interpreted as a shift into more buying pressure, buyers taking control. So again, when I make my distinctions about it's not what you feel or believe. Well, I mean, if what you feel or believe is based on what you see, then yeah, great. I'm not gonna split hairs over something like that. But there's got to be an underlining foundation that is the cause. Tough call, one day pullback. Well, it pulled back, then it held, then it turned. So it was close enough for me to a classic. The second day was really more of like a doji, and then it turned. I mean, I'm not saying I took it at all, right? Saying if I was watching that one, that would be one I would have considered. Especially because, again, what sector is it in? Communication services, which we've already identified as being something a little bit stronger. Okay, So setups are forming for me. I'm not going to trade any of these continuations at this point. There's no way. I have to be at the party early or I don't show up. But I definitely don't show up late. That's just not in my trading MO. Financials, like I said, it's trying. It's the leaders are doing a little bit more, but this is starting to show the shifts. We're seeing it happen. Industrials getting beat up a little today, but there was some decent strength prior to that. This is what Bob said. Look at the staples. We've actually talked about that last week where we were like, wow, there's a little bit of a surge in the staples. We've got to be careful about that. Here's XLY. The discretionary looks okay too, though, right? That's what we said. It's kind of consumer based. And then let's take a look at utilities. Here is XLU breaking out today. Utilities. It had turned sideways, but it hadn't done much before that. But yeah, definitely now it's breaking out. And I have to agree, I'm not loving it. So new trades for today, not for me. Managing existing trades, building a watch list of setups. I'm not bearish enough to want to speculate on this to the downside. I think it may be short-lived. I'm still looking for the buyers to maintain control. There's not been enough of a shift for me to be like, yeah, that's it. No, we're going the other way. Nah, I'm going to stick with my current level. Be patient. Let's watch the sellers over the next day or two. See if they start to lose wind, lose steam, and then be ready to come into what's next. Fred says, SPY is moving into A territory. Okay, let's go see. Ooh, it sure did. 407.60, we said. It moved up into it, and like I said it would, and then I thought it would pull back, and it's just not. It's holding on. We're down to our last 4 minutes. Who is the A's today? Jacques is an A today. Dennis is an A today. Oh, Jacques and Dennis feeling smart. Oh, look at that, though. We're 12 cents away. 12 cents away. That's our range, 407.60. 4 minutes left. Questions, concerns. How are you trading? How are you managing your trades? How is it finding new trades? Very curious. Oh, this is going to come down to the wire. Right? This is going to come down to the wire. We're 5 cents into range A. Oh, and Carmen. Carmen reminded me, although it's only 3 cents into the range right now, I think we're going to have to walk. Oh, it's just dropped back into B territory. It's going to come down to the wire. It's uncanny, right? Like I'll draw some lines and then it'll just like flirt right on that line. I mean, I do try to identify support and resistance levels, so I would expect it to behave interestingly around those levels. I'm just saying it's interesting how it can shift and just hover right around that level. 407.60, 407.63, 407.59. We did forget to check Stella's pick on this one. Yeah, she gets nothing. She gets nothing. I read a new technique. We'll have a quick discussion on this. I said this is a neurological thing. Coffee blocks something. And what happens is if you block it, then when you can't block it, that's when you crash. So what this guy was saying, he was a neurologist, he said, if you wait 90 minutes, so you don't, like me, I wake up and it's like I'm stumbling around and getting a coffee, like I need my coffee. However, what he said was, if you can just push it off 90 minutes, let your body adjust its tolerance to those things. I'll have to look it up again. I can't remember what he called it. That you won't get the crash later in the afternoon, and you're eliminating one of the only negative side effects of caffeine. So something to think about is I'm trying it. I tried it today. Felt pretty good. I waited about 90 minutes, got my first cup, and then I just drank water, and I'm feeling pretty good this afternoon. So we'll see. Trying to keep it to 3 cups during the day. Life changes. Last minute, we've moved back into A territory. So the A's, they're feeling pretty good, feeling pretty comfortable. You know what? I'm going to give it to them. I'm giving it to them. A's, magnificent job today. Well read, well speculated. Gold medal goes to you. We will be back. Not tomorrow, so enjoy your Thursday. But we'll be back Friday morning for morning coffee. As long as you've been up for 90 minutes, I'll probably brew mine and start drinking it in the second half of the class. Oh, there is no Friday. That's right. Market closed on Friday. Oh my God, I won't see you for a week. That just doesn't seem right. I'll miss you guys. There will be signals between now and next week. So look for them, find them. We had some good ones on this list. Just make sure you are patient for the setup. Let them pull back. Let them come to you. Put those trades on. Overall, not a bad day today, quite honestly. So listen, everybody. Good to see you. Have a great rest of your week. Happy Easter. I'm making a 14 to 15 hour slow cooked smoked brisket. I'm going to start it Saturday night, have it ready for lunch on Sunday. Let it just smoke slow and gentle overnight. Oh, it's going to be great. Have a wonderful Easter. As always, happy trading.